Yes,
boy.
episode 11.
Remember, whenever he says episode and then whatever, that means he's recording, and then whatever you're saying after that, you're like, oh crap, I hate you.
This is just what it is now. Welcome to
Episode
episode 11.
Group Slug.
Group Slug.
So were you recording before or you're recording now?
All of the above.
This is why, once again, I still hate you.
Welcome to Into the 99.
Welcome to Into the 99, where we have 99 cards, because Commander number 1, I'm Sherman.
I'm Hope.
I'm Daniel, and again, we have another guest with us.
I'm Brian.
The king of Group Slug.
Brian. Moving on.
I'm not important.
You said it this time, not us.
He's integral. He's just mean. Brian lives for Group Slug.
Group Slug. What is Group Slug first, though? Let's talk about that. What is Group Slug?
It is the antithesis of Group Hug. Let's be real.
Yeah, it's not like, you actually have, like, Slug Tribal.
It's just...
Could you imagine?
Playing all the saltiest cards just so you get rid of the slug? Hilarious. No. So, Group Slug is a thing where cards punish all players. Because they're slugging it out.
Spiky hugs.
Yeah.
Spiky hugs.
I hug everyone, but I like squeezing.
They're not interested.
Yeah, bear hug.
Yeah,
bear hug.
We're all bleeding because of you, internally and externally.
There's just a bunch of Lego on the ground. That's
it's
what
the
Group
hug a special
Group
kid
Slug
gives a
feels like.
kitten.
Oh my god.
Oh my goodness, I can't believe you went there.
That got so dark.
Got so real.
Well,
Got
that's the
too
topic.
Okay, so yeah, Group Slug is where you damage everyone with whatever cards you have out. It doesn't matter what it is. You're just punishing people. Well, not really punishing, but everyone's just taking damage and they all kind of hate you, yet not hate you because it's kind of fun. You
It's
speed
a form
up
of tax.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You want to play this? You got to pay some life.
Basically, everybody's being punished for playing the game. You're just trying to get through your phases, and whatever you do, it's a problem.
Yeah. It's a huge battle of attrition in the end because you have to watch for what you're casting, how much mana you have, how many lands you're tapping, bringing out, all that stuff. It's one of the biggest ways to try to figure out how to manage your resources. So here's a question. Why play such a theme? Why would you?
Yeah, Brian, why would you?
My response is, why would you not? Well, when I made my Mogus deck, which is one of the commanders that we'll talk about tonight, I wanted something different, but I wanted something where I can't be blamed. I know Hope is going to hate me for saying this, but I cannot be blamed for targeting a single person when I'm targeting everyone.
Yeah, it's not like a mill deck where you're mill 60, and you feel like you've got to spread it out, otherwise you're wrecking it for someone.
Yeah.
This is wrecking it for everyone.
Yeah.
You're hitting everyone equally. Everyone's taking the same 2 damage for this, or 5 damage for this, or sacrifice a creature for this.
Some people just want to see the world burn. His name is Brian.
That's a beautiful sight.
He is warm, that's for sure.
But I will say it really does speed up the game since everyone's taking damage like crazy.
You're on a timer.
Well,
that's exactly
like we've said before, a fast game is fun.
Yeah, fast games sometimes can be really nice. Especially if you've been out on a Friday night, played a few games, and you just want to bang a few out closer to the end of the night before you got to get out of there.
Well, it's also brutal to be the first man out. Somebody gets a really early. Yeah. Someone gets an early Blightsteel kill off on something,
and you're waiting an hour to get back in a game.
Yeah, exactly. And you're just sitting there like, oh my god, are they going to be done anytime
But the thing is, when you're playing this deck, you're always the first one out.
Yeah,
I mean, true.
But
no, I've seen you win with Mogus a few times.
Yeah.
But the other nice thing, too, as you've mentioned before, is when that deck's out, suddenly the board is opened up now. Not everyone's sacking their creatures, not everyone's paying life, and it's late game. Everyone's got 8, 10 mana available, and you just see some really big, fast, explosive plays from there.
Once the group slug player is gone, typically everyone just goes
off.
Yeah.
That's one of my favorite things, specifically about when somebody's playing Gaddock Teague. It's not as traditionally punishing slugginess, but it slows the game.
But when he is dead,
he's gone and everybody starts dropping big spells. It's exciting.
Everything they've been holding on to.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's really cool to see that.
And that's the thing, with these group slug decks, they're they're really good against certain decks that you see that are more common. Like one of them is like a pillow fort deck where they're like, I'm going to just build up these defenses and everything. But in a group slug deck, you don't care. You play a land, you take damage. You tap a land, you take damage.
You leave it untapped, you take damage.
Yeah.
I was just going to say.
And you don't have to attack with the creature. You just sit there because it's just everything's ticking. Tick, 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 tick. Play a land, like Sherman was saying, you play a land, you tap a land, just tick, 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 tick.
You draw a card.
Yep.
You
discard
tap an
a card.
artifact for something with harsh mentor and suddenly
play a creature.
2 damage,
play a spell that costs 3 or less.
Everything has a cost.
Play a spell with painful quandary out and discard a card or 5 life.
Well, like that's the thing. Let's try to think of things that you won't take damage from a group slug deck. Is there anything? Creatures? No, you'll take damage. Lands? You'll take damage. Tapping lands? You'll take damage. Using abilities? You'll take damage. Playing artifacts? No, you're hurting everyone no matter what. And that's the beauty of, well, I guess not beauty.
With this theme though, I've come across a single card that can stop it. It's a white enchantment, or I think it might be a creature, I'm not sure, but it prevents all damage dealt to you on your turn. That's not combat.
Personal Sanctuary.
Yep.
Oh!
Yeah, saw that played, and so my Mogus triggers, the tapping land, did not do any damage to him because it was not combat.
I'm now the one out with the notebook.
I am this time. I am. That's awesome.
That's actually really cool.
I shouldn't have said anything.
Well,
but that's interesting though, because I've never seen that card. So to see something shut down a group slug deck like that is insane.
A nice way to look at it as well is that group slug and group hug are kind of opposite ends of the coin.
Yeah.
And really both of them kind of interact like a planes chase deck.
Yes.
They're so chaotic in what they're making you do. They're punishing everyone. It is just like that. And a lot of people do really like a plane chase. Like I love plane chase.
Me too. I like the added element. It's like another player.
Yeah, that you can't interact with, really.
Yeah, it adds a whole different element
I cannot
to the
blow
game.
up the plane.
Yeah, it's like,
Exactly.
get the chaos, get the chaos!
It's to me, like, that's a ton of fun, like, adding that additional layer. Like, as much as I joke about, hating the way that Brian plays, but that's just teasing. Like, I think at the end...
jealous.
Yeah. At the end of the day, like, more than anything, I find those sorts of elements of gameplay fun.
Yeah,
I find that stuff interesting, and I like when I have to rethink my play style with a certain deck because I need to rush it out, or I need to get rid of a commander when normally I wouldn't really care about somebody else's creatures, or they're just different. It brings out a different side of my decks.
And that's the thing. Once again, it's all about resource management. Like, you can... Like, most decks are like, okay, like, I play this and this order and this and this and this. But when you're taking damage from whatever you do, you're just like, okay, if I do this, and then this and this and this, I'm going to take like 20 damage. But if I do these 2 or 3 things instead, and I need these more, I'm going to take half the damage. And then I might be able to get around whatever defenses and everything, and might be able to do something that impacts the board more. So it really does force you to use your resources wisely. But like, let's look at some commanders here for Group Slug that are really, really common. So, Brian, you already mentioned your deck, and that is Mogus.
The God
of
Slaughter.
Slaughter.
Heavy metal.
It's a 2 colorless black-red for a 7/5 indestructible, and it is a legendary enchantment creature.
Can I just hold right there? I did not realize that Mogus was so cheap.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Fourth turn, yeah.
Whew.
Yeah.
Fourth turn at the latest.
Yeah, he's fantastic.
My goodness.
Second turn with Dark Ritual.
That's insane. The thing too about all of the gods is that they're so hard to get rid of because they're enchantments.
Well, yeah, when they're not creatures, like, you can't hit them with that indestructible.
They're brutal.
You can't make them sacrifice them.
No.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why Mogus is so great, because Mogus, like, he's not a creature.
Mogus is something.
He's never a creature.
He's not a creature unless your devotion for red and black is less than 7, or his devotion for red and black is less than 7. He's not a creature. Sorry.
Okay. So more than 7. He's a creature.
So
But let's be honest with that. I'm
With the
never
enchantments, you can
allowed
get it,
to
yeah.
have 7.
Yeah, you never really get there.
My stuff is always blown up.
Handed right off the board.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And with Mogus, like at the beginning of each opponent's upkeep, Mogus deals 2 damage to that player unless they sacrifice a creature. So it's like, okay, so like...
What's your choice?
It's the opponent's choice, you know, whether to take 2 damage or sacrifice a creature. Most people would just be like, I take 2 damage.
Unless you're playing Golgari.
And you cannot get any life. If you don't gain life, it's really...
Yeah, it's really, really difficult, right? So, but Mogus is a really common one.
Yeah.
Brian also has this next commander.
I know this guy all too well.
We discussed this on our Halloween episode.
Nekusar! The Mind Razor, which is a 2 blue, white, red. Or sorry, black, blue, red. 2/4. At the beginning of each player's draw step, they draw an extra card. And
That sounds like fun.
Yeah, it was great. And then whenever an opponent draws a card, Nekusar deals 1 damage to that player.
And that's the
doesn't
thing that
sound
kills
fun
me about
anymore.
Nekusar, is that the damage is done by the commander.
You could always get that other card again.
Yeah. God. But that's the thing, is like that's what kills me about Nekusar. Like if it was just that 1 damage was dealt to you, that would be one thing. But it's the fact that 1 damage is dealt by Nekusar, specifically written as such.
See, like, I was talking with Brian before, you know, like, I would totally put in, like, a whip of Erebos, you know, to give all your creatures lifelink. Because since the creatures are dealing damage, you're gaining a life at the same time. So it's just hilarious.
Yeah, so funny.
Then with that wording, would that not be commander damage?
It is.
No, commander
it's not.
damage,
did they
specifically combat.
Combat?
Yeah,
Okay.
Gotcha.
Still.
Otherwise, Purphoros would be tier 1.
Oh, my
Purphoros goblins for the win.
Oh yeah, that's the way to go.
Ooh.
Purphoros goblins is the best kind of goblins.
At least they're not goblin clerics. So, and then another one that's getting up there for scene for a group slug is Zancha. Is that how you pronounce it?
Sancha.
Zancha.
It's
Sleeper
gotta be.
Agent. It's gotta be. Ex-Ancha. How about that? So,
Ain't ya?
1 black red. That's a 5/5. Really, really cheap. Really, really awesome. Okay. Zancha Sleeper Agent enters the battlefield under the control of an opponent of your choice. Which is weird. Why would you want to do that? Zancha attacks each combat if able and can't attack its owner or planeswalker its owner controls. So it
yeah.
can't attack you.
You're dipping damage away at your opponents or their blockers or
It's
whatever.
kind of like suiting things up with the vow enchantments.
Yeah.
I might have to take a look at this commander.
Yeah.
Why did I do this? Okay.
It was from the newest commander, the Madness
one. Yeah.
commander deck. Yeah.
Yeah. And then for 3 mana, okay, Zancha's controller loses 2 life and you draw a card. And any player may activate this ability.
Now that is chaos at its finest.
Brian, don't write it down. So, like, I love this commander. I don't play it, but I've seen other people play it.
Yeah.
And it's hilarious. It's hilarious.
Sorry to interrupt. It was last year's commander. That's
Oh,
what
was?
I thought it was in the Jund deck. I was pretty sure.
Oh.
What do you mean?
Wow.
What deck was it in?
I don't know. I just know it's Commander 2018.
Oh, I really thought it was last.
I so thought it was in the Madness deck.
Yeah, same here. Oh, well.
Either way, it's in one of the commander decks.
But the madness was the black or red one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's probably the reason
Yeah,
why.
yeah.
We're just like, oh, I jumped into conclusions. Like, oh, totally
However
this one.
you pronounce her name.
Yeah, I thought it was in Jund deck because of the spider that made
Oh,
everything attack every
Wind
turn.
race?
Yeah.
Oh, that makes sense.
So yeah, the spider
Thantis.
Thantis, yeah. So you give it to people have to attack the whole time. And then yeah.
Okay, well, now that we cleared that bad boy up, thank you.
See, we make mistakes. We
Sorry,
make mistakes.
dork.
It's totally fine.
We're only human.
You are.
Some of us.
I'm a robot. Liplar.
Zoop
Zoop Zorp.
Zooplar. Okay, so these are some commanders we see, and as you can see, you can hear us talking about these. It's all about like everyone's taking damage or something where you can abuse it, where someone else has to do something for you, basically.
Like you said, like there's an additional cost to any action, you know, whether it's drawing a card and you have to take a damage, whether it's losing the life or sacrificing a creature. Like there's
Double damage from Gisela.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna
There's-
punish you for
love
playing
it.
Magic.
If
that,
you live
that's
off the salt of your play group,
Yeah.
these are the commanders you
if
want
it
to play.
sustains
But
you.
saltiness adds flavor to food.
Yeah.
That's not a big deal. If you do the same thing in Magic, you're just adding more flavor to it.
That's one way to put it.
That's why they call it flavor
Better.
text.
That's why they call it flavor text. Get out of here.
See? Perfect. Dan's on board.
Oh, puns.
Oh, boys.
So, there's way too many cards that punish all players.
Just enough.
There's just so many. But we're going to touch on a few.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Mhm.
Because if we talked about every single one of them, we're going to talk until next year.
Yeah.
I'm going to talk to that first one. It's my favorite card.
Hit
You
it.
do it. Do it.
Hit it.
Turn 1 land, Soul Ring, and then you turn it into the Anka Mishra.
Yeah.
Oh.
Land
And if you're
punishment
going
cards.
first, every single player after that is taking 2 damage for every land that comes into play, and it's beautiful.
Oof.
Yeah.
Followed by
Seeing
you
the-
dropping Mogus the next turn.
Seeing the
Ooh.
anger on people's faces when that
For
comes out.
playing land.
Yeah.
See, my favorite is
Ramp away, Atla.
Yeah.
my favorite was Anka Mishra, along with the Mana Barbs and Price of Glory. Okay, so Mana Barbs is a 4-cost enchantment, 3 in a red. Okay, and every time you tap a land,
You take a damage.
you take a damage. But Price of Glory, I love this card in red. Okay, enchantment. Basically, Price of Glory says anytime someone taps a land and it's not their turn, they have to sacrifice a land.
Ew.
That
It's
just stops
beautiful.
anyone from countering anything.
It's so beautiful. Yeah, you stop people from doing stuff on your end step or doing any kind of shenanigans that when it's not their turn.
Another card, I don't know if you run this, Brian, War's Toll.
Yep.
Yeah, that's another solid one. Whenever someone taps a land, to play something, they have to tap all lands they control.
Mhm.
So with the Mana Barbs, you can't even just try and get, I'll take
Oh.
1 or 2 damage. You
You're
take
taking
it
8.
all.
If you're
Yeah.
going to play anything, you got to tap all of that land.
And it's the same with attacking, isn't it?
And I,
Yes.
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
you attack, all creatures have to attack,
Ooh.
if possible.
and I have Gisela out. Good lord.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's the thing, like, there's a lot of land punishment cards, and most of these are, like, either tapping or bringing things in. The one I'm trying to see if I can fit in is Dingus Egg. Something way back
Love
in the day. Dingus Egg basically says you take 2 damage when a land goes into your graveyard.
Ooh. So
Ooh.
if they sacrifice lands,
Yeah.
then it damages them. That's an
Yeah.
extra nice add.
And that's the thing, I want to put this in because right now, lately, when I do play a commander, I'm seeing more and more people play with strip mines, ghost quarters, things like
Mhm.
that. Or they'll
Straight
have
out.
Zergs
Scape
or...
Well,
Scape
most
ship.
people just nonstop will anything more than one color run a Terramorphic and Evolving Wilds.
Mm-hmm.
And on top of that, a lot of people, even in a monocolor, still run it for a shuffle aspect.
Yeah.
Well, even if you get close quarters early game and then you blow up like their dual land that they needed, and you're just
Yeah.
like,
Oh,
well,
yeah.
Or they're playing like the fetch, other fetch lands, like pay 1 search.
Windswept Heath.
Yeah, stuff like that. So they're taking 3 damage off instead.
Yep.
Things like that. So Dingus Egg is something that I've always thought about before, but I didn't really care for much because not many people really played with stuff like that. But
Yeah.
as more and more people are playing Commander, and I find that more people are like tearing apart their modern decks and everything, and they have a lot of the fetch lands and stuff like that.
Well, this deck's also going to punish as well, really, really badly, anyone with those expensive lands. Like you're saying, those fetch lands. Suddenly it's 3 damage to crack that fetch land. Suddenly that shock land you're going to get, that's 4 more damage to get in.
Yeah.
You're
Well, if you
7
have-
damage deep,
if you
yeah.
have Anka Mishra, so 2 damage for the initial land.
Yeah,
and
to
then
drop
2
it in.
damage
And
1 to
then
crack
land.
it is 3. Then let's say I go to get a duel I want to stomping
5.
ground. Yeah, then
And 7.
there's 2 more for it untapped
Yeah.
and 2 more for it entering.
Good lord.
Yeah, adds up fast.
Yeah,
But that's
7 to 9 damage for 1 land entering. Well, 2, but
Choose wisely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
that's really it, though, isn't it?
Dr. Jones, choose wisely. But this is just the lands we're talking about that
Yeah.
we're punishing, okay?
Yeah.
Something that's like a staple in all decks, because let's face it, we need lands to play.
Yeah.
Okay, we're not allowed to play Moxes in our decks. Well, except for like, Amber and like Opal and
Does
stuff.
not count.
Does not count.
A lot of the stuff you mentioned is the enchantments and artifacts, but we do have Zozu the Punisher as well.
Yep, Zozu the Punisher, same thing as Alchemishra.
Yep.
So
Exact same thing?
Yep.
Yep.
How much does Zozu cost?
Two?
To play?
2 in a red, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and yeah, Zozu the Punisher, same thing as Alchemishra. Play a land, 2 damage. Play a land, 2 damage. So
That's
if he's out,
nasty.
you're taking
4 damage just to dump in a land. Like,
Yeah.
you only get 10 turns.
yeah,
If you do nothing else.
yeah.
That's crazy.
Timer.
Ew.
Yep.
This is why I don't like it. I'm looking at you in your eyes, trying to look at you in your soul right now and see why you would do this.
He has no soul. Give up. He
His eyes
gave
dark.
it away a long time ago to be a jerk in Magic.
Yeah.
Sherman, you taught me everything I know.
Signed it away to Bells and Luck.
Sensei Sherman.
Yeah. Master Sifu. Master.
I am the master now.
Oh! Okay, so let's go on to creature punishment cards real fast here. Fast.
Oh, it's your favorite card, Daniel.
Which one?
Rakdos Charm.
Rakdos Charm.
I
What does
play a
Rakdos
lot
Charm
of
do?
token decks. Rakdos Charm tilts me.
Rakdos Charm was the card that I used to beat Daniel when I first started playing Magic. One of the very first cards that I ever tilted him off the face of the
Each
earth
creature
with.
deals 1 damage to its controller as just one of its modes. One of its
Hilarious.
3 modes. You can also exile their graveyard, which is rough.
Hilarious.
Or you can artifact blow up.
Hilarious.
Yep.
But that's only that's one of the removals that you can run. In this.
But it's such a good one. Anything that gives you a lot of the mode cards in general are pretty good because this does have the ability to kill someone who's overwhelming you with creatures. It has the ability to get rid of a graveyard theory.
And for just Rakdos.
Yep.
Like, that's nothing.
It's very, very good.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's that one. Another one, Rampaging Ferocidon, which I love. Because, one, anytime a creature comes into play, they take 1 damage for it.
Yeah, it's anti-Soul Warden.
Yeah, so there's all that stuff. So especially, it punishes a lot of people that try to play tokens and whatnot, or like anyone that links things in and out.
Daniel.
So punishes them. But the better thing about that is that players cannot gain life. Like, Rampaging Ferocidon was banned in Standard for a reason.
Yeah.
Okay?
It's real good.
It's really, really good. And, like, you can't gain life. You're taking damage when you're playing creatures. So you're going to have a hard time. And granted, 1 damage isn't a big deal in Commander. We always say that. But once again, it adds up. And it does stop a lot of people from doing certain things, such as blinking their creatures constantly, making more tokens.
Well, we've also talked many times how a lot of decks can utilize land as a life. And if this is... land as a resource. Life is a resource. Sorry, tired. But the fact that this is also taking away that resource and you can't use it more and more and more because it's being taken away for everything. It's for dropping lands, for dropping creatures, for tapping lands, tapping creatures.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, like, with that, like, it's just, it gets out of hand. But if you combine it with something like Archfiend of Depravity, which is hilarious. Okay. It's another creature, flying, blah, blah, blah. But its ability is what you care about. At the beginning of each opponent's end step. Okay, keywords end step here.
Yeah.
That player chooses up to 2 creatures he or she controls, then sacrifice the
Up to
rest.
2?
Up to 2.
I think I say this a lot, but choose wisely.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, so you have... You can, like, make things and give them haste and everything, but in the end, you're gonna have to sacrifice all of them except for up to 2. Okay? So it's like, it keeps the board state really, really low.
And you have Mogus causing sacrifice or 2 damage at the beginning of the turn, and then you have him triggering at the end.
Yeah.
Well, let's also not forget Obnixilis Unshackled. 6 mana, flying, trample, 4/4. Whenever an opponent searches, they sack a creature and lose 10 life. Not or. And lose 10 life. Whenever another creature dies, put a 1/1 counter on him.
And we remember that with the other cards, Like all these just go together so well.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
well,
and
just
like
searching, especially for lands, is more common.
Yeah,
thing.
and all that damage.
And like we've said too, red is nothing beats red in doing damage and doubling damage.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So it's very easy to get a Furnace of Wrath out, something like that, and all of this just suddenly becomes so much worse.
Oh yeah.
2 damage per land, now 4 damage per land.
Then
Yeah.
8 damage per land.
And the 4 damage from Mogus or sack that creature. You're looking a lot at sacking those creatures. And can you keep those creatures coming to at least not take that damage later on in the end game?
A Mirage Mirror seems like it'd be so good in this deck. Just the ability to choose whatever you need to do. Someone's gonna bring lands in, you're gonna make another Furnace of Wrath.
Yeah. It's just unexpected because
Yeah.
it's just like instant. Like I can choose whatever I want to copy and go from there.
I'll write that down.
Yeah, you'll like that one for sure, Brian.
Brian's calling our local game store right now.
I don't know if I can't remember if you have this card or if you have it in Mogus deck, but red Repercussion. Okay. It's a red enchantment, 1 red, okay. Whenever a creature is dealt damage, Repercussions deals that much damage to that creature's controller.
I believe so, but I don't think I've actually ever got to play it yet.
I have that in Fire Song and Sunspeaker
Oh.
because it lifelinks me so I don't die. And I Star of Extinction the board with that out. It's rough. That's how I end up with like 5,000 life at the end of a game.
And then everyone dies.
Ridiculous.
That's incredible. And nasty.
Yeah, like we said, there's so many cards. We've only touched on 2 things here.
Well,
so
Archfiend
far.
of Despair, again, another you can't gain life. Ugh.
Yeah.
And then at the beginning of each end step, each opponent loses life equal to the life that player lost this turn.
That's
So
just
it just-
so many
So you're just
things.
taking double
Doubles right up.
damage.
And it loses that life. You can't prevent that
Loss
with
of
stuff.
life, yeah.
Well,
It's
then,
not damage, it's loss of life.
then another thing to add to this is on the theme of like the timers
Yeah.
is the new Planeswalker that came out in War of the Spark, where the emblem 1 damage every turn.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Chandra.
the new Chandra, yeah.
Yep.
That's her plus, right? So you plus her, and then it's 1 damage.
I
Every
always
turn,
forget
2
that's her
damage every
plus.
turn.
And is she also not, you can't counter her?
Not 100% sure on that.
I can't remember. I need to look
Check.
it up. Because there was 3 Chandras in M20,
Yeah.
right?
There's a lot of them.
Yeah.
3.
So, and that one's
It
like
went
the
through her
mythic
whole
one.
like story arc.
Yeah.
So
But there's all that.
It sure is. Chandra Awakened Inferno. 6 mana, 6 loyalty, can't be countered. +2.
plus
Plus
2.
2.
It's +2. Each opponent gets an emblem with at the beginning of your upkeep. It deals 1 damage to you.
You can't get rid of emblems.
Yeah, you can. Just take out the player. I will say that again and again and again. There's one way to take out the emblems. Take out the player.
Death.
Hence
Death.
the first player dead every
Let
game.
me read
Yeah.
that again. Each opponent gets an emblem.
Yeah.
Brian
can't-
doesn't get the emblem. We get the emblem.
Yeah.
You can't.
That's true.
We have to get rid of ourselves.
That's true. Does the emblem count?
Just go
as-
into the light.
Here's a question: does the emblem take the color of the planeswalker?
Nope.
Or,
No,
So,
they're colorless.
Colorless and can't be it can't be targeted or interacted with. It's just
Yeah.
something.
They're
I was just
like,
saying because like if you
they're
have
like
a Thor brand,
experience counters. You know,
Ah.
you can't interact
A
with them.
true timer.
a true timer, tick 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 tick.
Yeah.
Have that was
It's +2. How silly.
That's awesome. Well, it's bad, but it's awesome. But imagine that with an Armageddon clock. Armageddon clock, guys, that's hilarious. But let's keep going here. There's also like punishment for drawing cards. So
Yeah, Nekusar is kind of the king of that.
Yeah.
yeah, Nekusar. There's Spiteful Visions, another enchantment for red black. Okay, so it's a 2 and hybrid red black. And at the beginning of each player's draw step, that player draws an additional card. And when a player draws a card, Spiteful Visions deals 1 damage to that player, just like an Nekusar. Alright, but this is just a regular enchantment, and let's face it, enchantments are hard to get rid of if
So
they're not in
hard.
certain colors.
Hardly any, and even if you are in colors to get rid of enchantments, hardly anybody runs enchantment removal or
It is the
destruction.
least played thing,
It is
yeah.
so uncommon.
I make sure I have at least an answer for everything.
Same.
Yeah, enchantment
But-
is good, but there is
But
just...
usually one card.
Yeah,
I get
exactly.
one-
That's
one
exactly
target
it. It's
every
very
game.
And especially
uncommon.
with Mogus and stuff, like, unless you're going to return to dust him,
Yeah,
you know, there's not very many things that hit an indestructible enchantment.
exactly.
What, are you going to merciless eviction him for one card?
Like, no.
You can Cyclonic Grift me and
Yeah, but
Yeah.
but we
But we know
discussed
that
it.
you
He's
guys
4
don't run
mana, he'll
those.
get it down.
But there's other things, like a lot of these are just like, draw a card, you take 1 damage. So Spiteful Visions, Fate Unraveler, Underworld Dreams, Obnixilis, the Hate Twisted. Like, all of these are like, you draw a card, you take a damage. Draw a card, take a damage. And once again, like we always say, what are the most important things in Commander? Card draw, mana ramp.
Card draw is king.
Yep.
Card draw is king. And
you can get
unfortunately,
through your deck to find those answers.
yeah, and unfortunately, Brian took that and be like, yeah, it's king. I'm going to kill the king so I can rule.
And especially with that Obnixilis we were talking about, people can't even tutor for answers. It's going to take 10 damage to go get something to remove one thing.
Yeah,
I want to go
so.
get my land, please. That
Yeah.
would be 10 life.
Well, it's like,
Terramorphic for 10 damage.
the better one is like, Eddie, our buddy Eddie. He plays, what, a Marin deck? Is it, or not Maryland, or I can't remember.
Marlin, yeah.
Marlin, thank you. So, and Marlin basically says, everyone, during everyone's turn, they skip their draw phase, and instead, they basically tutor for a card in their deck. You have that while you have Obnixilis out, so
Yeah.
everyone's forced to take 10 damage.
That's where I
every
learned
single
that
time.
card from.
And 3 damage from Maryland.
Yep.
Yeah, oh yeah, that's right. Because you have to pay 3 life to do
Search.
that.
Yeah.
To search. And you're forced to search. So there's like 13 damage just to do that. And the best thing about that commander too is that people forget to tutor for lands. Because they're like, oh, I'll just draw into lands eventually. No, you gotta make sure you tutor for the land and put it down. So you can do other stuff.
So right
Speaking
now
of-
sorry.
Yo, go ahead.
So looking at everything that we've talked about, one thing that I think that we might not have actually brought up is how to protect yourself.
From Mogus?
No. From how to protect yourself playing
Oh,
one of
from
these decks.
everyone
Yeah.
trying to steamroll kill you.
And I have to say that one of the best cards I have to say is either Crawl Space or Ensnaring Bridge.
Both
Because a lot of the
great
time
cards.
you're playing all your cards.
No Mercy's another really good card. Whenever it's a black enchantment, whenever a creature damages, you destroy it. That's a good one.
Mm-hmm.
That's really good. So, and there's also other things like Meek Stone. So even if they come in and
Yep.
they attack and tap, they stay tapped unless they can untap it. Because Meek Stone, it's been errata where because it used to be any creature that's power 2 or less cannot untap, but they changed it to whether it's 3 or less now.
Yeah.
So, but that's something that you can also put in. But Ensnaring Bridge is really, really good just because you're casting things, you're reducing your card hand size and everything.
Especially late game if everyone's playing big creatures.
Yeah.
Like, I got 4.
Yeah.
And you stop everyone from attacking everyone, and you're
Yeah.
still tick, 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 tick,
Yep.
tick.
Everyone's taking the damage. I was going to ask, why don't you just embrace it and put a mind crank in it?
It's in there.
Is it? Of course it is, Brian.
Yeah.
Of course it is.
Well, I think it was the first time I played my Mogus deck, and they're like, and Eddie, we were just mentioning, was like, that's an infinite combo.
Mind crank Blood Chief?
Yeah.
Yep.
And then it clicked, and I was like, well, I guess I won, but then we just were like,
Just kept
meh.
playing it,
we
yeah.
just-
Yeah. It was
Yeah.
casual.
Just because it's fun to keep on going
Exactly.
sometimes. Yeah. So, but there's so many things. There's also, straight damage cards, casting punishment cards, all sorts of things. So, like casting punishment cards, I think that's probably the harshest ones of all of them.
Spell shock.
Yeah, when you
Spell
just
shock.
sit there and get dinged for trying to play a spell.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like my Karavec Merciless deck that I mentioned before. I made that because I was sick and tired of people not paying attention. I call it audience participation.
Yeah.
Because everyone has to, I'm casting spells where it's like, hey, look, there's this black card where, I can take an extra turn, but you guys can pay 5 life, so I don't take it. So who wants to take the hit,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, those
And-
cards. Amazing.
And people have to pay attention to that. And then when Karavek comes out, like anytime someone casts a spell, they take damage from Karavek for the CMC. It's like, ha 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 ha, who really wants to take the damage now?
Yeah, that's amazing.
So, but there's stuff like that, like you said, Spell Shock.
I think that's my favorite. One of my favorite cards in my deck.
What does it do?
For every, I believe it's if it's 3 or less. For every spell that's 3 or less, it deals 2 damage to the caster.
Oh my god.
So any like elves just it shuts it down.
It shuts them down. Yeah.
They're like, oh, what elves are
More than 3
CMC,
costs.
Yeah, CMC 3 or more, maybe
And-
like 4.
And the funny thing is, if you combine this with Impatience, which is a red card, it's hilarious.
If people don't play, they take damage. Ugh.
Yeah. So at the end of the player's turn, if they didn't play any spells that turn, Impatience deals 2 damage to him or her. So it's like, you cast a spell, you take damage. You don't cast a spell, you take damage.
I want to thank you all for having me on to learn about these cards and help make my deck better.
But that's the thing. There's so many things. Then like all these cards work together with certain other things. Like you already mentioned, Blood Chief Ascension, and that card is crazy in a group slug deck because you're getting counters. Let me see if I can do this off of memory. Okay, Blood Chief Ascension. Basically, if someone takes 2 damage on their turn, you put a counter on it, and if there's 5 or 3, oh my goodness, why am I not playing this more? If there's 3 or more counters on it, everyone loses 2 life and you gain 2 life every time or something like that. Oh, hang on, I gotta look this up. Can someone look that up for me?
Sherman mentioned Dingus Egg, but there's also Dingus Staff as well.
Oh, I forgot about the
Which is, the same, but for creatures.
Oh, man. Okay. Oh, thank you. So, yeah. Blood Chief Ascension. At the beginning of each end step, if an opponent lost 2 or more life this turn, you may put a quest counter on Blood Chief Ascension. So, whenever a card is put into an opponent's graveyard from anywhere, if Blood Chief Ascension has 3 or more quest counters on it, you may have that player lose 2 life, and if you do, you gain 2 life.
And then if you pair that with Mind Crank, every time someone's dealt damage, they put a card into their graveyard.
Granted, it's also a mace, so it's a great political trick, too.
Do you run Captivate Audience? I always forget about that card.
Yes.
Very silent. Yes. So it's like, Brian, how much do you want people to hate you?
You guys still have me here, so I think
Polluted
I'm still doing
Bonds?
a good job. What's that one do?
Whenever a land comes into play under an opponent's control, that player loses 2 life, you gain 2 life.
No, but I'm gonna have to look that up now.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Oh, there's just too many. There's so many cards that punish people for all sorts of things. It's
It's a fun deck. Like you make like a lot of decks that are creature based and all of this stuff. Where I find with my Mogus deck and my Nekuzar deck, I don't run too many creatures.
Yeah.
There's creatures that I have that serve a purpose, but the main things that I run are my enchantments and my spells.
Yeah.
To either force people to draw cards, force people to discard cards, or to protect myself if someone's going to damage me. But other than that, it's my enchantments or my artifacts that come out, and they're the ones that are doing the damage over and over to people. And then Mogus, who like I said, most of the time is never a creature.
Yeah.
Because no one allows me to have a devotion of 7 or more, because all my stuff are targets.
Yeah.
Everything I play is gone.
Well, speaking of protecting yourself as well, Smoke is a really, really good card. The best red stacks card available.
Yeah.
2 mana for an enchantment. Players cannot untap more than 1 creature during their untap phase.
That's very nice.
Yeah.
Great
That one
card.
stops you getting overwhelmed for sure.
There is a combo that I have in my Mogus deck as well that allows me to discard my hand to counter a spell.
Nobrook Reach.
Yeah.
Yep. Love it.
So, but then there's another artifact I believe that I, at the end of my turn, I set my hand aside. So during everyone else's turn, I don't technically have a hand. So I can counter everything.
That's a good one.
Man. I don't think I've ever seen you do that.
No, I've never gotten the chance.
Oh, that explains a lot. I'm listening to this, you're like,
I think I've done it once. But other than that, I've never gotten the card combo out.
And I'm surprised because I like playing against your Mogus. I play against it quite often.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I'm really surprised I haven't seen that combo yet.
It's one of my favorite decks.
Burning Sands.
Yes.
You have that one?
Yep.
I haven't seen that one hit the board, but I'd hate it.
What does Burning Sands do?
Whenever a creature's put into a graveyard from play, that creature's controller sacks a land.
Oh my goodness! Oh my goodness!
Yeah, like it's just a group hate deck. In all honesty, it just everything in there serves a purpose to either do damage or slow the other players down, limit them on their board size, and prevent them from coming at you or really having any repercussions. But most times you have other people who are playing really, really big creatures or some other form of attention-making cards, which really takes the heat off of you.
Yeah.
And so it gives you extra time, but the big thing that you have to do is politic. It's just like, I'm not targeting anyone. I'm sorry that I'm hurting you over and over again. Well, I can't really say I'm sorry because it's a purposeful thing, but you can really swing it so you keep yourself safe sometimes.
Oh yeah, like you're always going to do your best to try to keep yourself safe. And like you said before, like you tend to be the first person out.
Yeah, always.
So you kind of like, let's face it, if you're playing like themes like this or decks that are themed like this, you're going to have to expect to be like one of the first ones out. And if you expect to win every single time with a deck like this, I'm sorry, you're playing the wrong deck. Okay.
Yeah, this is something for fun.
Yeah, those are some unrealistic expectations. Yeah, fun for
Quote,
you.
unquote fun.
Fun
to
for
cause
you.
chaos.
Yeah.
Fun with the capital F.
But you know what? I'm like you said, Brian. Like this is chaos. I'm fine with this kind of chaos. I'm not fine with other kinds of chaos. Like some people will not chaos warp, chaos world. Okay, so chaos world is like you grab all the permanents, lands, tokens, everything. Okay, count how many they are. You shuffle them back into your library. So let's say there's 20. Okay, and everyone does this. All players do this. So you take 20, you shuffle them back in your library. Tokens technically go away, but they count. Okay, and then you flip the top 20 cards, and then of those 20 cards, whatever permanents you have, you keep. So you can have 20 lands, you can have all spells, or you can have all creatures, or whatever. You don't know. But that's like stuff like that just stalls the game. And sure, it's a huge roll of the dice that you might get something crazy and you might not. But I'm not a big fan of that kind of chaos because it just
Run
breaks.
the Great Aurora in everything.
I love it.
Wow.
I love that card.
I think one of my favorite cards on my Mogus deck is the one that whatever you cast, you start flipping the top card of your library until you reveal something that's the same.
Sunbird's
Sunbird. Yeah, almost like pseudo cascade pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sunbird's fantastic.
Then just adds another form of chaos because they're like, well, maybe I can play this to counteract
Get
that.
this, yeah.
But then it's like, no.
No. This is a form of control we're talking about. Like everyone's like, oh, blue's like all about control, blue, white, and everything. No, welcome to Group Slug. Control at its best.
I want to blow up.
Go ahead.
I want to blow up your artifact, but no, I'm going to go get a different spell.
Yeah.
Well, this can also really easily run the edicts. So you can grave pack people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They don't.
Yeah.
Pardon me. They don't want to sack, you're going to make them.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there's so many things, but like, let's think of it this way, okay? Like, how do you survive a Group Slug deck?
You kill the Group Slug player.
Salt the
But
slug.
let's
salt the slug. It's a beautiful thing.
But let's look at it, okay? Brian already mentioned the things that he would put out for our defense, okay?
Gisela. That's the one for me. Gisela, the Gold Knight Gisela.
But even that, let's say he had like an ensnaring bridge, okay? And he had like 2 cards in hand, all right? So anything with a power of 2 or greater cannot attack. What will you do? What can you do? Right? So that's the thing. Like, how would you survive a Group Slug deck when someone like Brian throws stuff like that out? Or a cross space? Or something else that says like, hey, you can't do anything to me, la 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 la. Like, let's look at it this way, okay?
Mill.
Sorry?
Mill.
Yeah, that would do it.
Mill will do it. Mill will do. But at the same time, most people don't play Mill.
Fireball him. It's the only way.
Yeah, direct damage is one way. I will say that. Direct damage to his face. Up to the dome, hit them.
Yeah.
And a lot of the cards that we did mention are not opponent. It's player.
It is everyone.
I am taking
He's
the
hurting
damage
himself,
along with
yeah.
everyone else.
Yeah.
He's taking the damage, but then also becoming a target. So his life gets chipped at a little bit faster, I would say.
Yeah, so it gets chipped at and everything, and since because of that, everyone can work as a team to put in that chip damage just to speed it up, right? So even if it's one damage, it's one extra damage that will tick down. So it might be one less turn that you guys have to deal with that group slug themed deck.
I've seen a lot of group slug games come down to people having 2 or 3 life each at the end.
Yeah, I've had
They're
that many
close
times.
games.
Or the highest is 20. It's half the starting total.
Yeah.
That's still really good.
No one
And that's
is,
the beginning of the game, essentially.
Well, the ability to not have people gain life really can wreck a deck.
Oh, yeah.
What am I going to do with Fire Song and Sunspeaker then? Sit there with my 6-cost Boros commander looking dumb?
Yeah. Yeah.
There's no other reason to play that.
No.
The same thing like the Krav deck we talked about, the Krav and Regna and stuff. If you can't gain life, that kind of throws a wrench in the whole gain life plan.
Yeah. Yeah.
I played Crab and I just decided one day I'm whatever, I'm just gonna throw in a Titan Strike and see what happens, and then next thing you know, when I play it, everyone hates me. I'm like, nope, taking it back out. So,
Sherman doesn't like attention.
No, I like going under the radar. Okay, that's how I win a lot with janky decks, right? Because they're going to be underpowered. So you have to learn to politic. You have to learn to be go under the radar, look a little bit weaker normally, and then out of nowhere you swoop in and you take the win.
Opposite playstyle for me. I like to drop down a Tega, Soul Ring into Mana Bolt and yell Leroy Jenkins the whole way. I like everyone to know what's going on.
But when you're playing against decks like this, yes, you want to work as a team. You want to get rid of the cards that hurt people the most. Playing lands, like the Akmer Shura, the Zozu, the Punisher, things like that. You want to do your best to get rid of them. Just
strategic removal can be a big help. It's taking 1 damage per turn versus taking 6 is a major difference.
And also at the same time, you gotta value, look at it. Okay, once again, I do a lot of politics. So if everybody wants to get rid of the Alchemishra, and I have the ability to do it, I don't do it right away. I wait. I take a look at what turn it is, what turn order everything is, everyone's at, where I'm sitting, and how many lands everyone has. If one person's screwed on mana, they're mana short, they're missing drops and everything, but everyone else is doing fine, I won't destroy it. I'll leave it. Because then that one person that's short on mana, they're gonna try to dig and try to play that land constantly and take that damage. So that's easier for me.
Well, yeah, you don't want to blow your removal early. You don't want to solve the problem for your enemies.
Yeah. And that's one of the things. It's the same thing, that's the same way of thinking I have when it comes to mill. It's who do you target when it comes to mill? So I count the lands that everyone has. I don't count the cards that people have in the library. I count how many lands they have in play. Because that tells me how often I'm going to hit one of their good spells. If they have a lot of lands out in play, I know I'm going to hit a really high or a good spell in their library more often than someone that has less lands in play. If they have less lands in play, there's a good chance I'm going to be milling more of their land. Same deal here with a group slug deck. You want to strategically look at what's causing damage to everyone. Yeah. If someone playing a lot of creatures, but they have those group slug deck has it where creatures are being punished or they're punishing the controller, I'm going to hold back. I'm going to sandbag my creatures and let them deal with it because it's more punishing for that other person than for myself. Same thing for land, same thing for enchantments, whatever it is. I'm going to be very, very strategic at what I'm doing. And that's why we mentioned before, you need to manage your resources. You need to choose very, very, very wisely here. If the person has a lot of things where lands are doing this, doing that, focus on your mana ramp cards more, and try to hold back those land cards. they're gonna force you to discard from time to time. So discard that land, or discard those high casting cards. Discard those and play your lower casting cost ones, so you don't have to play those lands. You need to be very, very strategic when it comes to this stuff. And like getting rid of these cards, it'll help you so you don't get hurt, but it also helps everyone else at the same time.
Yeah,
and that's why like you need to be very, very political with this stuff. Yeah, but you also have to learn to sandbag. You have to learn to look at everyone else's positions and battlefield and everything. That's why like I get really, really annoyed when people don't pay attention to the board state. Okay, because like when I play, I look at all this stuff. I look at how many lands my first opponent has, my second opponent has. I look at how many cards they have. I look what's in play. Everything makes a huge difference. How many cards they have in the graveyard? I'll try to mentally count how many cards everyone has, just so I can find out how many cards they have in the library, and I do the math and I calculate things. A lot of people don't do that, and if you don't want to do that, that's fine. Okay, but once again, I play a lot of janky cards. I play a lot of janky decks. I need every single advantage that I can take, and this is one of those where, if Brian's playing the Mogus deck, I'm off for it because I'm doing these calculations. I'm looking for that advantage, and every time he plays his Mogus deck, I'm like, yes, I can play my jankiest deck ever, and I have a good chance of winning because no one else pays attention to this stuff.
Thank you for letting us enter your mind.
This is only a fraction of my mind. Like, a lot of people are people that play against me are like, they don't think I really think of this stuff that much, but I really, really do. This comes into my deck building as well. That's why I can make janky decks that still do decent. So it's because I actually think about these things and whatnot. I actually read up on game theory and mathematical theories and everything. I read up on all sorts of things. I try to read one book a week.
I just throw cards together.
Hope's brain during playing. Is that 10 in the bottom? Yeah, I'll put that in.
So, oh boy.
Don't call me out like this.
Now you know how it feels.
T-Ram play?
Ooh.
Sorry I'm so aggressive. I don't know what you want from me. This is just how I play. I play aggro and I play horde.
And
Ulamog, what does that do?
Yeah.
Ula wawa?
Ula who?
Eldraza who?
Ulamog?
Ulamog?
We
What's
can't be
Annihilator?
Yeah, we can't be friends after that comment.
I definitely don't have an Eldrazi Animar deck.
Wink, wink.
Wink, wink.
But overall, with group slug decks, I will take advantage of it every time someone plays a group slug deck.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
You have to use it's any other game of Magic is no different. It's using your opponents to your benefit whenever you possibly can. And if that means letting somebody with more lands and take more damage from tapping their lands, I'll take 3 damage if you take 8. I don't care.
Well, in a lot of group slugs, you're punished for your advantage you would normally be enjoying.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So let them be ahead of me. I don't care.
People still play Magic.
Yeah.
They still play what their deck's built to do. So
Exactly.
the elves are going to ramp and they're going to get their lands and they're going to take that damage thinking, I'm going to gain my life back.
Well, a lot of people don't change their game plan up. They sit down, they see it, and they're like, well, still going to do what I'm doing.
Let's see if I can kill them faster than they can
I
kill
came
me.
to ramp. I have 5 brain cells, and that's what I'm using.
That's more than me, though.
Zip zap.
But that's the thing. It's when we say use resources wisely. Using your opponent's resources is another way of using your resources
it's just
wisely.
as much.
Well, or politicsing like you like to do.
Yeah.
Just talk people into, come on, we got to get rid of that. That's real bad for me.
Yeah. And that's the thing.
Well, JK.
It's real bad for everyone, but it's more bad for this person because of these different reasons.
Yep.
Okay. Once again, we'll cover this more in detail for politics. Talk about how to do politics and everything. Because there's a lot of things you can do when it comes to politics, and this is another reason why I love Brian's Mogus deck and any other group slug deck. It's because I can. It's one of the few times I can politic my heart out, and no one thinks otherwise.
If nothing else, this will get your table talking.
Oh yeah.
Oh, for sure. But when it comes to politics and everything, you have to understand that there has to be a benefit for whoever you're politicking with. Okay. And the benefits has to be beneficial for both you guys to a certain extent where there's like, okay, I'm fine with that. Okay. So in game theory, okay, I'm not talking about the game theorist or film theorist, all right? I'm literally talking about actual game theory. Yeah, shout out to Matt Pat. I actually talk about real game theory, okay? And this is called Nash's equilibrium, okay? So if you watch like A Beautiful Mind,
I have.
Yeah. This is what he's known for. He's the one that created game theory. Yep. Okay? So Nash's equilibrium says like, okay, basically there's an equilibrium where whatever benefits you, someone else will benefit from, and that's how you guys meet and come to an agreement, and that's where politics come in. So if I'm like, okay, Hope, I need you to destroy that Ankamishra because it's just devastating the both of us. Yep. And you'll be like, well, why? I have like 8 lands out already, and you have 5.
Like, why would I do this?
Yeah, you don't have to play any more lands, so you don't need to. Yeah. But if I reversed it and said like, okay, like you had 4 lands and I had 4, you can be like, okay, I can totally do that, because it's even. Or if I have 5 and you have 4, I'm like, okay, you'd be like, yeah, because I'm gonna put more lands down because 4 is not enough for me. You have 5, and like neither of us have mana ramp. So yeah, I'll just.
It's easier to convince somebody to work with you when you're on like a quote unquote even playing field.
Yeah. So,
or you convince them that you are.
Yeah, so you gotta look for those players to first, if they have those answers, and 2, if it's beneficial for them. And most of the time, they're gonna look for those benefits or things that'll benefit them more than they benefit, the person that's offering that deal. Okay? And that's how a lot of politics actually work in the game. So, and a lot of people that try to make deals that fail, they don't see that. They don't do that. They don't think about that. They just only think about the benefit for themselves and how much it'll benefit them more than the other person. That's just equilibrium says, no, we don't want to do that. We want to do the opposite so that you guarantee that deal, okay, where you're both benefiting, but you're still always going to look for the thing that benefits you the most. Yep. That equalizes everything. But anyways, we're going way off topic here.
In a podcast about magic, Sherman still comes out as the biggest dork.
You don't know the half of it. You do not know that.
Sherman has a chalkboard set up in the living room. He's running the probability.
But I think at the end of the day, like that,
and it's a whiteboard.
Love that.
It's a whiteboard.
I think though, at the end of the day, that really ties, like what you said, really does tie into one of your main notes about Group Slug, which is you make the ally, you can make the kill.
Yeah. So, and that's the thing, like, everyone, like, in a Group Slug deck, like, they know they're gonna be the first one out normally, most of the time. So they accept that. So making a deal with a guy or a girl, or whoever, that has a Group Slug deck, okay, they're gonna be like, no, I don't care most of the time. Yeah. Because they just want to see the world burn, Brian.
Yeah.
So, burn. So you have to make a deal with the other 2 players. Okay? And you have to work together as a team. But you have to use that to your advantage. Your resources are your resources. Okay? If you have the answer, don't offer the answer. Wait for someone else to ask if anyone can deal with it. And to do that, point it out. Ask them, like, hey, can anyone deal with this Anka Mishra? You might have the answer,
but if somebody else does, you can hold on to your answer.
Yeah, why not? Okay, wait for something else. Okay, try to use their resources that way. And like saying something like that is a very political move. Yeah. Okay, you have the answer,
but it sounds like you're trying to help the table. It's like who can help us in our time of need?
I'm your golden knight, but I'm gonna be honest. Don't team up on your LGS's Group Slug. Yeah. That's not nice.
Sounds like something the Slug would
Sounds
say.
like something the Slug would say.
But, like, we love you, Brian. And, like, I don't know about Dan and Hope. I personally do love your Mogus deck. I do love Group Slug decks just because it does let me go crazy.
I like chaotic games that make you
It
do
is
things
fun.
Me too.
differently.
I
It is
take
fun.
the attention off of everyone.
Yep.
That's
Yeah.
true. Yeah. You let me.
No one's paying attention to what anyone else is doing because
Mm-mm.
right off the bat they're taking 2 damage for playing a land.
Yeah,
Yeah.
group slug is kind of like having a group slug player at the table for a short amount of time for me is kind of a dream because a lot of my decks require quite a bit of setup, and I just need to just be quiet over
Yeah,
here.
just
and
ignore the
tell
Ur Dragon for 8 turns and see how that goes.
Yeah.
them. What is this Sarkon within alt range? Don't worry about that.
People, Brian's the problem.
Look at Brian.
He has no
Yeah.
creatures but 3 enchantments out.
Yeah.
No.
But that's okay. This enter player has 5 life. Let's just go in for the kill. Get rid of him. We'll keep the group slug person still alive. So that's what I always do. That's why Brian wins from time to time. When he's playing with me, I'm just like, no, Brian, you're still alive. I don't care. I go attack everyone else.
I'm the opposite. Sometimes I can't win, but I can make someone lose.
Kingmaker.
If
Yeah.
I can't get first place, second place is just as good.
Yep.
So, but I think we're actually
To that
running
end.
up on time here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, what do you guys like for Group Slug? What do you hate about
play
Group Slug?
Do you have a Brian in your group? Cause
No, don't start labeling my
Oh,
name as a group
no,
of
we
people.
love him. Do you have...
You're our Brian.
Yeah.
Aw.
Don't make
What's that deck's
thing.
theme? Oh, it's Brian.
What a mood.
Team Cataxis in the group.
Leave that be.
Do you like playing chaotic cards? Do you have any cool chaos type of cards or even house rules that kind of throw things?
Well, yeah. Do you like the added chaos that the damage for things adds?
Like all of us seem to.
Or any cool combos with cards that
Yeah.
we haven't even mentioned or
Yeah.
we might not even know of.
Because,
Yeah.
like we said at the beginning, there's so many cards. We could talk about it for a year
Yeah.
and just not be done recording.
There's
just
too
keep
many
on
to
going.
know the exact text of
Yeah,
everything.
so let
Yeah.
us know. Definitely hit up our Discord, especially if you want to let us know about that. We've got a few different areas where you can drop your favorite cards, different combos, and keep us in the know.
Hit us up on Instagram, at
Twitter,
some time.
Facebook.
All that stuff. I don't know any of that because Brian's the man for that. He's the social media guy, like I said.
Yeah,
He's
say
our
hi to
guru.
Brian, guys.
Yeah, tag us in your post, show off your altered art cards or anything like
Oh,
that.
yeah,
Just
everyone
tag
in
us
this
at
group
Into
loves
the
them.
99 podcast
Yeah.
and we love seeing
We'll check
cards and
it
anything
out.
magic related.
Mhm.
Yeah. Thanks so much for listening, guys.
Bye now.
Catch you later.
Meh.